say God is the greatest. All right. And when I talk with passion.
Family, friends, and fans came together in overwhelming numbers on Tuesday to pay their final respects and celebrate the life of Atlanta's beloved rapper, Rich Homie Quan. The gathering took place in both the city of South Fulton and College Park, where the streets were lined with mourners who sought to honor the legacy of the artist whose music had touched the lives of so many. For a city deeply rooted in the culture of hip-hop, Rich Homie Quan was not just another artist, he was a symbol of resilience, a voice that resonated with the struggles and triumphs of countless fans. His passing sent shockwaves through the community, but his service was not about mourning alone, it was a heartfelt celebration of the life he lived, the joy he spread, and the mark he left on the world. The venue for the service, World Changers Church International, located on Burdett Road, became the epicenter of remembrance and reflection. It was clear from the moment details of the event were shared that this would be more than just a funeral, it would be a grand occasion befitting a figure of Quan's stature. The service was offered free to the public, but the demand to be part of this emotional send-off was so immense that fans were required to reserve tickets to secure their attendance. Within hours of the announcement, each of the 3 viewings reached full capacity, with every ticket sold out as fans scrambled for the chance to say goodbye in person. For those lucky enough to secure a spot, the atmosphere was bittersweet, filled with both sorrow and celebration. Those in attendance understood that Rich Homie Quan's influence transcended music. He was a symbol of hope, having emerged from Atlanta's tough streets to carve out a path of success and inspire a generation of young dreamers. His songs, with their deep emotional currents and honest storytelling, had become anthems for anyone who had faced adversity and sought to rise above it. The service itself was a reflection of Quan's impact not just on the rap game, but on the community as a whole. His peers in the industry, many of whom shared stages and collaborated with him over the years, were present, offering heartfelt tributes and sharing personal stories of the artist behind the music. The speakers, ranging from close friends to fellow artists, recalled his infectious energy, his dedication to his craft, and his unbreakable connection with his fans. His family, too, shared poignant moments, giving the audience a glimpse into the man they knew and loved away from the spotlight. As mourners filed through the church for the viewings, the atmosphere was heavy with emotion. Yet, even in the sadness, there was an undeniable sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the memories, for the music, and for the legacy that Rich Homie Quan leaves behind. The celebration of life was not just about remembering the man who passed but cherishing the indelible mark he made on Atlanta, hip-hop, and everyone who had ever been moved by his lyrics. The city of South Fulton and College Park, places so intrinsic to Quan's identity and rise, served as fitting backdrops for this momentous occasion. His music, much like his story, was born from the streets of Atlanta, and it was only fitting that the city, in turn, embraced him as one of its own. Fans from across the country joined in the outpouring of love, ensuring that while Rich Homie Quan may no longer be physically present, his spirit would live on, his music continuing to inspire and uplift. It was a day marked by unity and love, a final act of tribute to a rapper who, in his too short life, managed to carve out a place in the hearts of millions. Following the heartfelt service, those who were fortunate enough to secure a spot will be invited to continue celebrating Rich Homie Quan's life at the Bank, a vibrant club-like venue located on Donald Lee Hollowell Parkway, NW. The free after-party is set to begin at 3 p.m. and will carry on until the DJ calls it a night, giving fans and loved ones the opportunity to come together in a lively, upbeat atmosphere, reflective of the joyous spirit Quan brought to his music and his life. This event will not be just another after-party, it will serve as an extension of the celebration, allowing people to commemorate Quan in the way he lived, through music, dancing, and community. Born DeQuance Devontae Lamar, Rich Homie Quan was an Atlanta native who rose from humble beginnings to become one of the city's most beloved and influential rappers. He burst onto the scene in the early 2010s, capturing the hearts of fans with chart-topping hits that solidified his place in the pantheon of hip-hop greats. Tracks like Walk Through, Lifestyle, Flex, Ooh, 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 and Type of Way not only dominated the airwaves but also became anthems for a generation that connected deeply with his honest lyrics and infectious beats. His unique sound was a reflection of his Atlanta roots, blending Southern trap with a melodic flow that set him apart from his peers. Throughout his career, Quan collaborated with some of the biggest names in the industry, including fellow Atlanta icons like Young Thug, 2 Chainz, and Gucci Mane. His ability to seamlessly collaborate across genres and styles made him a sought-after artist, respected not just for his talent, but for his work ethic and genuine love for the art form. For Quan, music wasn't just a career, It was a way of life, a means of expression that allowed him to share his story with the world. Initially, Quan's father and manager, Corey Lamar, had envisioned a small, private service, allowing the family to grieve in peace and begin the healing process. However, as the outpouring of love from fans continued to grow, Lamar realized just how deeply Quan had impacted the lives of so many. Without the fans, there would be no Quan, he acknowledged, recognizing that his son's legacy belonged to the community as much as it did to the family. It was this deep connection between Quan and his fans that led Lamar to open the service to the public, ensuring that everyone who had been touched by his music would have a chance to say their goodbyes. According to the report, Quan was first discovered by his brother in the early hours of September 5. At approximately 3 a.m., his brother, who had likely grown concerned about his whereabouts, found him asleep on the kitchen floor. Initially, there seemed to be no reason for alarm. It's not uncommon for someone to fall asleep in an unusual place, especially after a long day or night. Believing that his brother was simply exhausted, Quan's brother gently moved him to the couch, assuming that he would wake up on his own later in the morning. The decision, made with care and without any sense of urgency, reflected the trust that things were fine, that this was just a moment of rest after what might have been an exhausting day. However, the reality would soon prove to be far more devastating. Hours later, as the morning light filled their home, Quan's girlfriend returned after taking their child to school. Like any ordinary day, she expected to come back to a familiar routine, with Quan either awake or resting. But what she encountered was anything but ordinary. Upon seeing him on the couch, she must have immediately sensed that something wasn't right. Her concern grew as she realized he wasn't responding to her attempts to wake him. In that heartbreaking moment, she discovered that rich homie Quan, the man she loved, was no longer alive. The discovery of his lifeless body shattered the lives of those closest to him, especially his girlfriend, who had to face the unimaginable pain of realizing that the father of her child and the man she had shared so many memories with was gone. It was a crushing moment, the kind that forever changes the course of life for those involved. For his brother, who had placed him on the couch just hours earlier without any idea of the tragedy to come, the sorrow must have been unbearable. The sense of guilt and helplessness, even though there was no way to know what was happening, can linger for a lifetime in moments like these. As the hours passed, word of Quan's passing began to spread, first through family and close friends, then through the community, and finally to the world at large. His sudden and unexplained death left everyone in shock. Rich homie Quan wasn't just another rapper, he was a pillar of the Atlanta music scene, a man who had built his career on perseverance and authenticity. To many, his passing felt deeply personal. He had shared his highs and lows through his music, and now, fans were forced to grapple with the heartbreaking reality that they would never hear his voice again, at least not in the same way. The uncertainty surrounding the cause of his death has only added to the grief. In a time when answers are so desperately needed for those left behind, the lack of clarity feels like another wound. Was it a health issue that went unnoticed? A sudden and unforeseen medical emergency? Or something else entirely? The speculation is endless, but until an official cause is revealed, the questions will continue to haunt his loved ones and fans. For his family, the wait for answers feels agonizing. The loss of a loved one is always tragic, but when that loss is accompanied by uncertainty, it can be even harder to process. His girlfriend, who had to endure the trauma of discovering his body, his brother, who unknowingly laid him to rest on the couch, and his child, who will grow up without a father, all of them are left with an immeasurable void, struggling to understand what happened and why.